Practicing the limbs of yoga destroys impurities, causing the light of wisdom to shine until we reach viveka, discriminative discernment. The idea is to dissolve the impurities, masking our inherent clarity. And I love thinking of it like cleaning a dusty window so that the sun can shine through naturally. Especially with this time of year. Well, it's not even the time of year, just abnormally hot, right? And it feels like all-encompassing tapas. And it's like, yeah, what are the impurities that we're burning away that have been masking our clarity? And so on the other side of this, if we stay with it, if we stay in it for the blessing, yeah, what's the blessing going to be? So the 8 limbs of yoga are the yamas, the social ethics or restraints, the niyamas, the personal practices or observances, asana, the steady, comfortable posture, pranayama, the breath or energy regulation, pratyahara, or sense withdrawal, the letting go of the rest of the world, focusing inward, the dharana, the concentration, the dhyana, the state of meditation that leads to samadhi, the absorption or liberation. So 230 is the foundation of the 8 limbs, is the 5 yamas. And isn't it fun when you see these words here, the Sanskrit that you know, ahimsa, satya, asteya, brahmacharya, aparigraha, yama. The 5 universal social constraints required for peace of mind. Ahimsa, nonviolence, in thoughts, words, and deeds. Satya, truthfulness, which happens when we're aligned with nonviolence. Can we be truthful without mowing others down? Asteya, non-stealing, including stealing others' time or energy, stealing from ourselves. Brahmacharya, right use of vital energy or moderation. Aparigraha, non-possessiveness or non-greed. Like if we practice nonviolence with ourselves, we practice truthfulness with ourselves as well as others, right? Asteya, non-stealing, practicing not stealing from our future self by giving us what we need in this moment, being honest about what we need in this moment, by being gentle with ourselves in this moment. Practicing brahmacharya, yeah, getting to the place of just right. And just right is relative, day to day. The non-attachment, non-greed, I think that's where the suffering is happening in our lives, is like we're resisting what's happening. And then it's like, this is hard. And what if we could just be with what is? Like feels like an open-handed exhale. The key insight for the Sutra 230 is ethical living is not about moral policing. It is about practical energy conservation. Conflict with the outer world destabilizes our inner world. In Sutra 231, these yamas form the Mahavratam, the great vow. They're unconditional. They apply regardless of social status, where we live, the time we live in, or the circumstances. We can apply nonviolence, truthfulness, non-stealing, moderation, and what my brain just spaced on what the previous one was. Non-possessiveness. Non-possessiveness. Yeah, no matter where we are, what life we're living, where we're living, these apply. And there are no convenient loopholes or ethical vacations in yoga. Like that feels like an appropriate statement here too. Consistency builds our psychological power. So it's like, life is hard, so I'm just gonna not do these practices. If we actually want to experience freedom and liberation, it's staying with it. It's sitting on the meditation seat even when we don't feel like it. Using our breath even when we don't feel like it. especially. It's probably like more important in those times than it is in the times where it feels easy. And can we do that without shooting on ourselves and being violent with ourselves and all of those things? Can we just begin again without drama or fuss? Just begin again. And then the next sutra shifts us into the Niyamas. The inner landscape. So the yamas were about how we interact with the world out here in relation to ourselves, and this one is all about ourselves. Saucha, Santosha, Tapa, Svadhyaya, Ishvari, Pranadhana, Niyama. The 5 personal observances to purify the individual psyche. Saucha, purity, cleanliness, both internal and external. Santosha, contentment, finding joy in the present, independent of the conditions. Tapas, discipline, heat, burning away toxic habits. Svadhyaya, self-study, the sacred texts. We study the text, we study ourselves, looking at our own mental patterns. And Ishvara Pranadhana, surrender to a higher source or surrender to the divine, surrender to unity consciousness, and letting go of the fruits of our actions. Those ones we'll look at the next weekend together, the last 2. The neuroplasticity of yoga, Pratipaksha Bhavanam, Sutras 233 and 234. Sutra 233 is the principle. It's when troubled by a negative or destructive thought of vitarka, we cultivate the exact opposite thought, Pratipaksha. And then 234, the blueprint of negativity. I'll break it down as constructive thoughts destructive thoughts like violence can be committed directly, caused by others, or approved of. They're rooted in greed, anger, or delusion. They range from mild to intense, but they always result in pain. And then leave us in the experience of the ignorance, we forget who we are, our true selves. And then the practical solution is to recognizing that indulging in a toxic loop is like drinking a poison. And sometimes that toxic, and more often than not, the toxic loop is in our head, right? It's that recircling the groove that we've practiced in our minds. And when it strikes, we're invited to deliberately pause. And today I brought in I just can't shift from I feel shitty to I feel great. I have to go from shitty to neutral to great. So in that, the invitation is to pause. Get to the neutral place, spend as much time as you need to in the neutral place, and then shift into the flooding the mind with the opposing quality. Like seeing, I feel jealous. Oh, that's jealous. And just naming the jealousy is the pausing, and then the breathing, and noticing which part of me is that. And then I can choose to shift into, how great is it that that person has that? If they have that, then why can't I have that? Like, they're showing me what's possible in life. But I can't do that unless I do the pause. So the summary of these sutras is that yoga is not just the performance on the mat. It's not just the asana. It's an ethical, mental, and physical restraining system. I don't even know about restraining, but like pausing system that gives us the direct recipe for pivoting from suffering in those moments where we're suffering and shifting to neutral into what we want to have happen.